Will the Dems ever win again, as long as they keep hating men? Our video of the day is a 2-for-1 man-haters special. First up, Michelle trashes dudes while urging women to act more like them.
We're always hedging, because in the back of our minds, we weren't raised with the certainty of maleness that, kind of the confidence that young men in their 30s have, which they haven't earned, they just have it.
Something you work at, I feel not confident sometimes, and then I work on it and I can feel more confident, but nobody's really confident.
Yeah.
Everybody's insecure.
Everybody's
at some point, nobody wakes up and is like, unless you're like a true stone cold psychopath at any age, really.
Yeah.
And what she's talking about is maybe there are the men out there that like, women, when you get older, you're gross, like, ew. But like, those are men who are not having sex with anyone.
Yeah.
And I truly do not care about the opinions of those men, and I have a lot less money than she does.
Yeah.
So really, you kind of...
Greg Gutfeld doesn't just take jabs, he launches a full-blown comedic assault. His sarcasm slicing cleaner than Michelle Obama's designer stilettos ever could. And then comes Timpf, a firecracker in heels, delivering her sharp wit like a wrecking ball wrapped in pearls. The two team up like satirical snipers, zeroing in on Michelle's polished persona with pinpoint accuracy. Her leafy lectures on kale, her feel-good mantras, her perfectly framed public image, none of it is safe. What begins as political commentary quickly turns into a ruthless roast, flipping her motivational sound bites into punchlines that land like thunderclaps. This isn't admiration dressed as humor, it's a gloves-off dismantling of the most meticulously crafted First Lady brand in modern American history.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind. Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote.
It also represents Democrats continuing to be out of touch with the same group of people that voted for Trump, which is why they lost. Some people are feeling like there's no hope because of Donald Trump going to be the president, but some people are feeling hope for the first time in a long time. A lot of the people in those flyover states who haven't had their concerns addressed by President Obama and the administration before that. So sure, some people are feeling hopeless, but to say all Americans, like you were saying, if this continues, Democrats are going to...
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you never miss a moment of the madness. Now Michelle Obama's PR machine. It's been running so long, it probably qualifies for a pension and a commemorative plaque. At this point, her public persona isn't evolving, it's on a never-ending loop. She enters every cultural debate like she's America's self-appointed life coach, ready to hand you a gluten-free snack and a TED Talk on privilege. Her expressions alone could launch 1,000 think pieces. She's mastered the art of the disapproving glance, casting side eyes like America is her moody teenager sneaking in after curfew. It's not just branding, it's behavioral correction, gift-wrapped in polished grace, and media applause.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it.
Greg Gutfeld storms in like a wrecking ball wrapped in a tailored three-piece suit, cool, calculated, and fully loaded with punchlines. He tears through the fairy tale of Michelle Obama's supposed political neutrality with the finesse of a man who's done this dance before. Neutral, please. Michelle doesn't just toe the progressive line. She moonwalks across it with flair, like she's headlining a halftime show at a liberal rally. Then enters Timpf, sipping sarcasm like it's an overpriced cold brew, her delivery so smooth it stings. She takes Michelle's feel-good moments, the speeches, the slogans, the subtle shade, and flips them into comedy gems. With every sweetly savage jab and a smile that screams bless your heart, Kat turns contradiction into an art form.
Have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump.
Michelle once played the reluctant political figure the same way a cat pretends. It doesn't want affection while purring under the spotlight and stretching out for applause. All the while, she was headlining sold-out arenas with ticket prices higher than the monthly rent in the very communities she claims to champion. Her memoir tours. It didn't feel like a quiet, literary celebration. It looked more like the Rolling Stones went woke. traded guitars for virtue signals, and started dishing out elegantly worded guilt trips. Sure, no one's denying her right to write a book, but when you title it like a revelation, it probably shouldn't read like a valedictorian speech edited by a motivational influencer with a Canva addiction.
But Michelle Obama says the deportations keep her up at night. So maybe there is some truth to Barack's birth certificate. And way to tip off Trump. Oh, please, I'm really worried about these deportations. I mean, just get a divorce already. Don't try to get him deported. There's a lot of conflation going on here. Deporting illegal immigrants isn't the...
Michelle Obama speaks of hardship the way someone might complain about a delayed spa appointment, polished, distant, and oddly luxurious. When she says she understands struggle, it feels less like grit and more like grit-free. Think being forced to settle for a 4-star hotel when the penthouse was booked, or surviving the ultimate adversity wearing flats to a high-profile inauguration. The drama, Kat Timpf can barely keep a straight face, pointing out how Michelle's real talk moments often sound like first-world inconveniences, dressed up in motivational sparkle. It's less from the trenches and more from the terrace, with every anecdote dipped in TED Talk, varnished and served on a silver platter of
She says women are invisible. Which women are she talking about? Oh, I see her women in commercials, in TV shows. They're all over the place and they're all yelling at everybody, telling them, I'm a woman.
She's got some serious issues. She needs to go to therapy.
Yes.
And maybe stop doing radio just altogether, because we don't want to hear her speak. But she talks about, how young men were confident, which makes sense because she seemed like a pretty confident person growing up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me. But I will say this, and I do believe she's actually biological female. She just plays the role of a man really well.
Greg Gutfeld doesn't do subtle. He crashes through Michelle Obama's carefully crafted public image like a political bulldozer in fifth gear. One of his favorite targets, the fitness crusade. Sure, promoting health sounds noble, but Michelle's Let's Move initiative quickly morphed into a national lunch-shaming campaign. School cafeterias went from pizza Fridays to quinoa and carrot purgatory, as if kale sticks alone could cure obesity and inner-city dropout rates. It wasn't reform, it was rebranding with a side of moral guilt. And her speeches, they're emotional roller coasters, starting off with that classic "when they go low, we go high" energy, only to nosedive into self-righteous monologues so lofty they need clearance from air traffic control. Michelle doesn't just make a point, she floats above it like a messiah with perfect posture. Then there's the political dance. One moment, she's elbow-deep in policy commentary, dropping veiled shots with the finesse of a seasoned strategist. The next, she's feigning detachment, like she accidentally clicked the wrong Zoom link and landed in a town hall. She wants the influence without the title, the applause without the accountability, and the power wrapped in passive-aggressive charm. Gutfeld doesn't let that slide, and Kat Timpf doesn't miss a beat either.
Our minds, we weren't raised with the certainty of maleness that, kind of the confidence that young men in their 30s have, which they haven't earned, they just have it. We don't start feeling that and owning that until our 50s and 60s, at a time when we start to be treated as invisible in society.
So true. And it reminds me of my new book, Women Are Invisible at Age 50, and I couldn't be happier.
Greg couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Michelle Obama claims to stay out of politics, yet somehow guest stars in every politically charged Netflix docuseries with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball dipped in glitter. Her brand of self-promotion is so astronomically ambitious, it's shocking she hasn't convinced NASA to name a star after her. And the real magic trick, convincing the world that authenticity means being trailed by a glam squad and a full camera crew while baking muffins with underprivileged kids for B. Of course, Kat Timpf took it further, pointing out how every so-called candid Michelle moment feels as choreographed as the grand finale of a Broadway musical. Nothing spontaneous, just spotlight perfect precision with a halo of virtue signaling. Her influence over the media, suffocating. She walks onto a late-night set and suddenly seasoned hosts turn into breathless fanboys, fumbling compliments like nervous teens at prom. She utters a mildly insightful phrase, something like "growth is hard," and within seconds, it's enshrined in headlines, quoted like scripture, and slapped on mugs. It's like watching Play-Doh in stilettos being treated like marble. Meanwhile, actual brave people, nurses, night shift workers, single moms don't get standing ovations. Or six-figure speaking fees, they get overlooked. Michelle gets another close-up.
Michelle thinks American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To the women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better.
And then there's the podcast. Oh, yes, the podcast. If you've managed to skip it, congrats, you've dodged the audio version of a motivational wall calendar that forgot to be interesting. Listening to Michelle's podcast is like getting a life lecture from a guidance counselor who just discovered mindfulness and thinks she's your spiritual twin. As Kat Timpf brilliantly put it, every episode feels like someone trying to sell you an inspirational poster even when the subject is supply chain delays or congressional dysfunction. It's soft-spoken virtue with a sprinkle of smug. But Michelle's greatest performance, convincing millions she's just like us. As if your average working-class citizen hops on a private jet to attend a climate change summit while tweeting about sustainability from an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Her environmental credibility is about as believable as her political neutrality, shaky at best, theatrical at worst. When Michelle says she's one of the people, it's like Elon Musk claiming he misses the struggle of dial-up internet. Nostalgic, maybe relatable, not even close. Greg doesn't pull punches. He goes straight into Michelle's growing grip on Hollywood, comparing it to giving a bullhorn to someone who's already shouting through a stadium speaker system. The Obama's Netflix deal is so massive, it probably needs its own Senate hearing. And now, Michelle's producing her own biographical documentaries, where even her childhood gets a sweeping, slow-motion, Nolan-esque treatment, complete with dramatic narration and orchestral swells. What's next? Michelle, in a Marvel cape, saving democracy, one kale smoothie at a time. Don't give her ideas.
Has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth.
Generational wealth. Something good that now in the prism of liberal politics is very...
Pat brings it home with surgical precision, peeling back the layers of Michelle Obama's so-called grace to reveal what often feels more like weaponized politeness. Her tone, always the same, part beauty pageant winner, part emotionally exhausted guidance counselor, and 100% dipped in media-trained frosting. It's the kind of delivery where she can smile sweetly while implying half the country is morally bankrupt and somehow get a standing ovation for it. There's a collective delusion that she's detached from the very political machine her husband piloted like a Silicon Valley unicorn. In reality, Michelle's become the emotional support icon of the progressive, elita liberal Disney princess reimagined. For adults, complete with soothing voiceovers, soft lighting, and Instagram-ready quotes. Her brand is less a reflection of authenticity and more a nostalgialist comfort blanket for people who miss the glow of yes, we can, but prefer it served with quinoa and subtle judgment. Meanwhile, the media claps like trained seals at every word. She shares a healthy snack recipe one no kid would touch without a briband. It's treated like a solution to world hunger, and heaven forbid anyone push back. Criticizing Michelle. That's like poking a hornet's nest made of hashtags, inspirational merch, and viral TED Talk energy.
Liberal groundhog, Obama's popping up to warn us about how Trump's turning into a dictator.
We start drifting into something that is not consistent with American democracy. It is consistent with autocracies. We're not there yet completely, but I think that we are dangerously close to normalizing.
Even Michelle Obama's fashion choices have their own news cycles, like runway diplomacy in action. She could walk out wearing a designer paper bag, and within hours, it'd be sold out at Nordstrom, rebranded as bold, historic, and empowering. Kat Timpf nailed it when she said the media dissects Michelle's outfits like military analysts reviewing satellite footage. Every belt, every sleeve, every shade of mauve is treated like a coded message to the United Nations. She wore a belt, folks, not a peace treaty. Relax. Greg couldn't help circling back to Michelle's obsession with the moral high ground. She turns virtue into an Olympic sport, one she judges and wins by default. She urges America to rise above, preferably on a Peloton she personally endorses. She's styled herself as the designated driver of America's ethics, yet somehow keeps veering into every cultural clash. Like a cable news anchor chasing primetime ratings. Caught dug even deeper, mocking the polished self-help aura that clings to Michelle like she's auditioning for the Wheaties box of moral excellence. And yet, through all of it, Michelle maintains this illusion of being outside the bloof, untouched while actively shaping and capitalizing on the very machine. She claims to critique its performance meets power, polished with just enough relatable sparkle to keep the applause coming.
Men can't name masculine Democrats. So, Congresswoman, according to a new study by a think tank, young men struggle to name any masculine Democrat leaders besides Barack Obama, saying it's the Republican Party that best represent men's interests. Are you surprised by this? Where did the Dems go wrong?
The Michelle mythology endures not because of truth, but because the line between personal polish and actual integrity has been blurred beyond recognition. She's mastered the art of sounding profound while saying next to nothing. It's like standing before a stunning marble fountain, elegant, commanding, soothing in, till you realize it's just the same. Recycled water spinning endlessly in a gold-plated loop. Michelle's greatest illusion isn't her charisma, it's her ability. To make power look passive, she drapes influence in humility, cloaks strategy in sentiment, and wields political weight with the velvet glove of school speeches and lifestyle tips. It's soft power sorcery. She doesn't storm the gates of political discourse. She plants a garden outside them and invites the media in for a tour. The real trick, no one dares challenge her, not because she's unquestionably right, but because she's been culturally canonized. To question her is to break an unspoken rule. But Greg and Kat weren't playing by those rules. They didn't roast a villain. They exposed something far more uncomfortable, masterclass in performance. Precision engineered to pass as authenticity. Michelle doesn't need to ask for the spotlight. She is the spotlight. And every time she's praised for her bravery, it's like watching a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat stand, then charge the audience for the rabbit, the hat, and the ticket to the show. She's not just playing the game. She's rewriting the rulebook in cursive and calling it grace. And while the world applauds, she's already 10 steps ahead, making sure she owns the stage, the script, and the curtain call.
Meanwhile, here's former First Lady Michelle Obama last night.
Kamala has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of faith.
And yet, somehow, the illusion still holds for many, at least but not here. Because once the smoke machine winds down and the applause softens to an echo, Michelle Obama's legacy doesn't stand as a monument to untouchable greatness. It stands as a brilliantly packaged masterclass in political branding, emotional manipulation, carefully dressed as compassion. Every time Michelle re-enters the public arena, it's framed as leadership. But look closer, it's more like a calculated reminder that she remains the undisputed queen of curated relevance. She's turned something as simple as walking down a hallway into a viral feminist declaration, all while holding a teacup like it contains sacred scrolls of enlightenment. And people buy it. Like she's Moses descending from Mount, armed with commandments, steamed in oat milk, and written in organic soy foam. It's performance, refined and repackaged until it feels like prophecy. But here's the reveal. Strip away the speeches, the warm filters, the artfully timed pauses, and perfectly placed anecdotes in. What remains isn't an icon of timeless greatness, it's a brand. A powerful, polished brand, but still just a brand. And the thing about brands, they fade. The clapping slows, the pedestal eventually cracks, and when it does, only authenticity survives.